I would like to call the Town of Northwood Planning Board meeting for July 12th, 2018 to order at 6:58 p.m. Present is Justin Mikulski. I didn't butcher it. Okay. Beth Boudreau. Betty Smith, because you have the easy name. Vice Chair Lee Baldwin, town staff. Do I have to count him? He's not town, or does he count?
Town staff is sufficient.
Okay. So, all present members are voting designation.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Discussion?
I didn't see anything on page 1. However, page 2, line 26, I believe it should be, would they be notified? And then because they did not get notice, and then once again, on line 28 should be notified.
Well, noticed is actually the technically thing.
I can change it.
Yeah, notified more is, yeah, it's clearer, but noticed is actually technically correct.
And I think that was all I saw.
And page 6 on line 46, I wasn't here, so I didn't second anything.
I've got one on page 3.
Okay.
On line 31, this is in the context of Preview Drive being on a plat. I think the way it is right now is how I said it initially, but I had a qualifying statement that I added later, so if we could like throw that in here, or add that statement later, if we could change it to this section of Preview Drive, and then have something to the effect that since only a portion of Preview Drive appears on this plat, owners further along the road still have to comply with 67441. Just so that somebody else doesn't read these minutes and think that they're exempt.
Actually, I think it ended up being Joe that made the motion to adjourn and I seconded.
Any further discussion?
You want all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes. I'm abstaining because I wasn't here. All right. We have 4 new cases this month. So, case 1808, Landry Family Revocable Trust, 129 Lucas Pond Road, map 244, lot 13. Applicant seeks a minor subdivision dividing lot 244-13, 7.3 acres into 2 lots. The new lot will be 7.07 acres with frontage on Lucas Pond Road.
Do we only have one set of the plans out?
No. Oh, Alex, yeah. I mean,
Oh, everybody has a copy. Okay. So this one's a pretty simple subdivision. There are a couple variances that they have already received from the zoning board. The first is for frontage. To subdivide into 2 lots, you would require 150 feet of frontage total, or 150 feet for each lot, or 300 feet total. They are approximately 9 feet short of that, so they received a variance from the ZBA to allow the frontage for one lot to be exactly 150 feet, and the frontage for the second lot to be 141.29 feet. The second variance is for the well on the parcel with the existing home. It's depicted on the plan just underneath that home. That will be in the 20-foot side setback of the new parcel. And since that's a structure, it can't be there. So they have a variance to allow that well to remain where it is. If something were to happen to that well, they've also depicted a proposed new well location on that parcel. The big issue on this, I would like the applicant to clarify the materials of the driveway, because they are going through wetlands. A driveway for a single-family home is allowed to cross wetlands by right, according to the Northwood zoning ordinance. However, that's a use that's allowed, but a structure still requires a special exception. So if it's a natural material driveway, gravel or dirt, that's allowed to cross. But if they were to pave it, that becomes a structure which would require a special exception. So if they're fine with the gravel driveway, I'd like to just note that on the plan, and we should be set. State permits for this would include a wetland permit and a subdivision permit from DES. Town of Northwood has jurisdiction over the driveway. And I think they at least submitted the applications along with the... So we've got septic and we have subdivision, so we would still be waiting on wetlands and driveway.
How is the existing house not in wetlands? Just curious.
Because it's up front before it goes into wetlands.
Yeah, it's an interesting lot. It's a very soggy lot.
At a higher elevation than the wetland.
Yeah, it's an interesting lot.
So any other questions on this guy?
Sorry, Carrie. I'm making noise.
She did it on purpose.
I did.
If not, we can move on to
Move on.
18-09.
1809. Case 1809, Harding Metals Incorporated, 42 Harding Drive, map 234, lot 79. Applicant seeks a minor site plan review to construct a 50 by 40 steel building on an existing concrete pad at the rear of the site. Is this the same as what he came last year to, he said he was thinking about doing?
Did he do a like preliminary?
Yeah, he came, because Victoria was here, because she asked him what was going to happen to the cats
So that was not.
a couple of years ago. All
I
right.
was gonna say, I don't remember him
Yeah,
coming before the
Victoria-
board while I've been
Victoria
here.
asked him about the cats, and he said that they'd be able to get into or under the
I think
building.
it's been a while since she's been on the board too.
Yeah, I think that was before him.
That might have been for one of the other buildings.
Yeah. It was a couple of years ago.
So items to be addressed, there's really not a whole lot. I noted building setbacks just because that was something that we talked with him about when he came in. The square footage of the existing buildings is enough to bump this into the largest class of large size business or large scale business anyway. So the new building won't impact the setbacks, and they're compliant with the 150-foot side setback that's required for the largest category of large-scale business. Other than that, they have requested a waiver for stormwater drainage to forego submission of a drainage plan and analysis and all of that. The logic being this is already a concrete pad, and by putting a building on it, they're not making it impervious. It's already impervious. So the board will need to act on that before acting on the application itself, but otherwise, I think this is pretty similar to both Camp Yavna and the Boy Scouts in that there's not a whole lot of follow-up that needs to happen. This isn't a change in use, and they're not really proposing to change the intensity. They just want to do what they're doing under a roof instead of in the open air. Any other questions on that one?
Nope. Anybody? Okay. Case 1810, Jennifer and Matthew Fry, Route 202A, map 231, lot 43 and 43-2, and Robert Madison, map 231, lot 43-1. Applicants seek a subdivision amendment to eliminate the driveway easement located on map 231 lot 43 and relocate the driveway from map 231 lot 43-2 to be from the frontage of said lot.
So I think everybody except Beth probably remembers this one from last year. It was July of last year, proposed by Mr. Fahey.
Oh, yes.
These lots had originally been subdivided in 2006. He voluntarily merged them and then came back last year to put them back the way they were as three. So the board approved it at that time. The 2006 application showed a curb cut on lot 43-2. As part of the subdivision last year, they proposed a shared driveway instead. The reason for that shared driveway was that Mr. Fahey's application showed a delineation of wetlands that covered basically the entire frontage of 43-2. The plans that have been submitted were prepared by a different wetland specialist, and the wetlands delineation or wetlands boundaries that they are showing are significantly different, to the effect that the shared driveway easement that the board approved is now shown as being in wetlands, and the proposed driveway goes around the wetlands to the right, where this delineation doesn't show any wetlands and the prior subdivision did. So this is a case that if we hadn't just had something that had a different delineation, yeah, I wouldn't express any concerns about this. But the fact that we've had two applications in such close proximity that are different to the effect that they would be complicating each other means that I think the board would be within its right to consider a peer review to get a third opinion and figure out which of those delineations is correct. Thinking about the timing of that, I think you could feasibly say that we have reason to believe that the borders of the wetland conservation subdivision or wetlands conservation overlay are not clearly depicted on the plan, and we want to find the application incomplete until we can get a third opinion peer review. I would recommend, if possible, if the applicant isn't concerned about timeline and the fact that getting a peer review would go over our 65 days, that we accept as complete, just in case we want to have a public hearing at the next meeting, and give abutters an opportunity to speak. And then we can follow up on a peer review after that. As I said, I think the board is within its right to accept this application at face value. If we hadn't had conflicting information in such a short time period, I don't think I would have even questioned this delineation. So it's a matter of how careful the board wants to be. Some changes.
Wasn't he using an older map?
So the wetlands delineation, Mr. Fahey originally presented the 2006 subdivision plat with some minor changes. That plan included a wetlands delineation from, I believe, the end of 2005, before they applied in the spring of 2006. But at that time we noticed that the wetlands delineation was from several years ago, and we asked them to confirm that the wetlands hadn't moved, and they added a note to the plan saying the location of wetlands was confirmed on site in 2017 and that they had not changed. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have,
it would have been,
we
because
have-
it was really wet last year, so.
and we have two people with
Different.
equivalent credentials who have stated that they followed the same methodology to meet Northwood's requirements for wetlands, but they've come up with two different results.
I think a peer review makes sense.
Yeah.
I think getting like a neutral third party to just kind of do due diligence on it makes sense to me.
So that's something, again, that I think we'll mention to the applicant that we would like or that the board is leaning towards, but I think I think when Linda and I talked about it, we were a little concerned about whether or not we had the ability to require one prior to acceptance, or if we did, whether we could at least do it at a workshop instead of at a full meeting. So I think if the applicant says, yeah, that's fine, and they want to move faster, I think maybe we could make that their purview and they can request it, but I don't think a motion tonight would be in order. I think I'd prefer process-wise to wait for next meeting. Other things, I'd also like the materials on this driveway to be noted. They're currently not proposing to go through the wetland itself, but they are going through both the wetland setback and the side setback to get around the wetlands. Again, a paved driveway would be a structure and would not be allowed in those setbacks.
So would we, if we don't accept it tonight, would we still have them at the public hearing?
We wouldn't be accepting it as complete tonight anyway.
Right.
Because this is a workshop.
Yeah, but we could still have them come in and notify the abutters, and then we could discuss peer review.
Right, so I think the best course of action in my mind is still to accept this as complete and hold a public hearing. The only reason that I would say not to do that would be if for some reason we were worried about our ability to get a peer review done within the 65-day window. I would hope for something like this, that from one meeting to the next, having about a month between them, that we'd be able to get a peer review of a wetland on one parcel done within that time. If we didn't, we might have to go to a second month, but I don't have a reason off the top of my head that I'm worried about us getting it done within the time frame. And even if we did, I think that would be a reasonable request to the Board of Selectmen or an agreement to come to with the applicant to extend beyond that. I have not talked with them about their ideal time frame for getting this approved to the applicant, that is.
So basically, the town has to discuss with them about the peer review. Do you need anything from the planning board tonight on that?
I don't. I can say that, we talked a little bit and that the members present tonight seem to be in favor of a peer review. So they should come prepared to discuss that.
Yeah.
They do also have the right to, if the board, I'm not sure, does the town's engineer have a wetland specialist on staff? Would they be doing the work?
I'm not sure. I know that the applicant also has the right to.
Right. So we can follow up with the town's engineer to make sure that they would have somebody qualified to do the work. And we can also tell the applicant that they do have the right to request somebody different from the town's proposal, and they can go so far as to name a firm. So if they have somebody that they would want to do the work, they could come with that proposal at the next meeting.
So, okay. So
to
they
speed that along.
they would still bring it to the public. They would bring it to the public hearing and say, this is who I want. They wouldn't just do that ahead of time.
If they wanted to give us the name ahead of time, they could.
Right.
But I would say it would still be something that we'd probably just want to put on the record in the meeting.
Okay.
Who the town would propose to have do the work, who the applicant would propose to have do the work.
Makes sense.
So that when the board acts to refer this, you can act on their wishes if they do request a different consultant,
Okay,
and then we can move forward.
okay. Makes sense to me.
For this one, we did confirm the last time that the state subdivision approvals from DES don't expire, so we don't have to worry about that. I believe the applicant included an application for a DOT driveway permit with their materials, so that's in process. When this was approved, because one of the lots tapers to a point at the back, we asked the applicant to request a waiver for a parcel narrower than 100 feet. They requested that waiver and then the board didn't act on it. We approved without acting on the waiver. So I think by approving it, we've made a tacit approval of that, but just to make sure that we're following the process, I would like the applicant just to submit a written request for that waiver and have the board act on it this time around to make it official. Yeah, I think Linda caught it like 5 minutes later and mentioned it to me, and at that point, yep, it was approved. So any other questions on this one?
This one doesn't have the driveway across the street from the other driveway, does it? I think the shared driveway was like across from the driveway across the street or something.
Yeah, so the shared driveway was coming from the existing.
Yeah. I don't know if it shows the driveway across the street. I thought it was across from it. Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember when he came in and we were talking about it. And
Ooh,
I think there was
Sorry.
something about
I
taking
think-
out the circular drive so it wasn't doing
right,
that or
so
something.
the noted existing driveway that comes back around to the loop, I'm pretty sure we added a note to the Fahey plan, and I can go back and confirm that that was to be closed off.
Yeah. I know
Uh,
one side of it was supposed to because it wasn't.
So if they're asking to not close that off, I would want to confirm that on the record, otherwise that note should be carried over, I think, under this plan. So I will make a note to that.
Not the big one. That's making a small one.
No, I wasn't able to get the parcel itself up. I think that's,
This is Granite Street.
yeah, we might be seeing that one soon. It's the one in the corner.
This
but
one?
you won't be able to, no, that one, but you won't be able to select the parcel. Oh, you can?
That's not it, though.
That is it.
That's,
Oh, you mean the property record card, isn't it?
it pulled up when I put the address in, it pulled up the name.
Yeah, that record's attached to 102, not 101.
Oh, I see.
Huh.
Okay. So is it? Oh.
It's 108-101, which is that smaller one.
Okay,
There you go.
this is the, right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's weird, it's got a different name.
So, the next one is, we're ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
Case 1811, John Ward, 1548 First New Hampshire Turnpike, map 108, lot 101. Applicant seeks a minor site plan review to add an outdoor display area near lot frontage and to exchange existing flea market outdoor space to outdoor display area behind the sales office for total outdoor display area of 21,640 square feet.
So on this one, I'd like them to identify the surface of the outdoor display area. Just because if they're planning to pave any or all of that, that would be adding a lot of impervious surface. I think currently it's grass, dirt, and or gravel in those areas. It looks like they're just sort of storing stuff in that space anyway right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that front one is just is gravel. I don't know about the back ones. I've never been in there, but the front
Okay.
one's gravel.
This one is prepared by a licensed surveyor, but they have a note on the plan that they didn't actually go out and do a survey. It's more or less a guy marking it up from existing documents and using his design skills, which is fine, but I think we need the waiver for a professionally prepared plan just to say we're not doing a survey on this and we're not going to have a stamp on it. And then the third issue is going to be figuring out the parking scenario. The application identifies 22 spaces existing. The plan, I think, shows 18 spaces and labels it as 17 spaces. And then we don't have a good way to calculate how many spaces they need for outdoor display. If we were to apply retail parking standards to the total square footage of the outdoor display, that would be 87 parking spaces, which is way more than they need, and it's way more than they can fit. So I think I want to reach out to the applicant and just see if we can come up with a suggestion for a good way to calculate what parking they need. Because I think this is definitely something that's going to fall under the other calculations deemed appropriate by the board. category. And then they will need some sort of approval for selling the trucks and the trailers on site from, I believe it's the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. Linda has said we've been contacted by them. Essentially, they need to have the zoning in place before they can get that permit. So that would be a condition subsequent. I think they're already operating on site, so in the interest of moving this along as quickly as possible, we don't really want to revoke the occupancy if we don't have to. So I would suggest just putting a year time frame or whatever other time frame the board thinks is reasonable, and allow them to be compliant in the meantime. I think the move to this site was something of a short notice decision, that they had been operating on a prior site, and something, whether it was the rental agreement or a relationship with another tenant on site, made that undesirable, and they moved to this one.
So is this just gonna be like, the proposed area is basically just gonna be an area where they would put trailers out for them to sell?
And I believe they already have them more or less
Right.
in the area they're proposing to put them. So if you take a drive by this, you can probably see
What's this
basically
by?
exactly what it's going to look like.
1548, what is that by?
It's up,
Just past the lake.
just past Main Street.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, it's past Main Street. It's past,
It's
it's
where
past,
the-
past the market, it's past the lake. Isn't like the lake like,
It's across from, sort of, from the boat sales. There's
Oh.
a
Yeah.
consignment store there.
Yep. Yep, okay. I know what you're talking about. Okay.
I'm not sure if there's a chain link fence or not, so I don't remember.
used to be the old hardware store. Remember it was Hancock Lumber or something? Years
Okay,
ago.
that makes sense. When was it ever a flea
Further up
market?
than I was thinking it was.
When was it ever a flea market?
I think it was like a really short-lived one.
don't
I know it was Hancock Lumber years ago.
I don't remember a flea market there ever.
So is it a new business or are they just adding to their existing business?
This is a new business separate from Easy Docking
Okay.
that is moving to the site. I'm not entirely sure which building is occupied by which in what capacity. If I had to guess, I would say this one is probably using the sales office noted on the plan, plus the outdoor display. That's one thing that I'd like to confirm, or at
The
least have
sale-
the applicant explain when they walk us through it.
The sales office has the consignment store in it, but I don't know how active they are, if that's actually still.
Maybe it's just like a desk in the, yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know. I haven't been there.
Because that has the window and you can see. But
Yeah.
I don't know that they've actually been open, or, they never look open when I go by, so I've never been there.
Nope.
That'll be something to confirm. The only businesses they mentioned on the plans for the parking calculations were Easy Docking and the proposed trailer sales, I think. Because they mentioned the number of employees.
So are they the Mountain Road Trading Post?
Is Mountain Road Trading Post on there?
See on the tip top, under reference
Did
plan.
I miss it when I looked through it? That's not the plan I want to look at. This is, I don't want to look at it.
No, they're the root truck trailer and sale, so that's where the tractor place used to be, right? They used to sell tractors there. Now they sell the caps and stuff, is that? What happened? I know, are they moving there? Are they moving from the tractor place to down there? Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
but
I think you might be right. Linda knows better than I do.
Okay,
But they are currently, or had previously been in Northwood.
okay. They probably were then where the tractors used to be
Yeah,
sold.
I think so.
Okay,
And they're just moving down the
Yep.
street.
okay.
okay, that makes sense.
Sorry, Jerry.
Any other questions on this one? Nope. All right. So,
Staff's turn.
I am not really, I don't have much more to talk about for the master plan than I had last time. I haven't really been able to.
That stuff, because I wasn't here, can I get copies of that?
Yeah, so I'll email what I had out to everybody and we can follow up on the demographic stuff and do some writing once I've had a chance to pull more data. There's just a quick turnaround between the last meeting and this one, and it included a bunch of time out of the office and the end of our fiscal year. So,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Yeah, it happens.
CIP, we weren't planning to discuss anything tonight. I think staff has received most of the project items that we were expecting, it sounded like from Linda.
Yeah, I don't know. She's got this. I know she's really worried about it.
So I think the only question I would have for you all related to that would be, would you all prefer to each have your own packet of all of the project submissions, or would it be easier to just pop them up on a screen and work through them? If you'd all like to have a packet that you can flip through and have in front of you and take home and read with you, we can make sure to have that prepped.
Is
for
that
the next
something that
meeting.
you could just maybe email in advance, and then we could just look at it on the screen, just so we
Yeah,
can, like,
if
have it-
electronic copies would work for all of
Yeah.
you, and I guess for those board members that would prefer a hard copy,
Yeah.
you can let us know and we'll print a set out.
Yeah, because if we have a chance to look at it beforehand, then we can probably, if we have any questions, then prep
Okay.
a little bit, and then we can just look at it all together on the screen.
Okay. I think the deadline that we set was the 9th, so we should already have everything. So if you and Linda can follow up either tomorrow or next week and just have that sent out,
Works.
we can look for that then.
Cool.
So that's all I've got.
The only thing I have is Dale, his last day was today. There's a trunk of a palm tree over there. There's more to it, but everybody was signing
So it's a
it.
piece of wood.
Yeah. If you flip it over, it's
Okay.
if you'd like to sign it, just to, it says going away.
Yeah, sure.
It'd be nice,
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
unless you don't like Deb.
If you don't have anything nice to write, don't write anything at all.
Just kidding.
I'm kidding.
That's it?
So are we looking for another one, or do we have somebody already?
We're gonna see how it goes with that building inspector.
Oh,
I think he's gonna
no.
finish out the cases though. He's moving to Nottingham.
Zoning board.
Yeah.
No.
Just don't start sticking building inspections into my other meetings as necessary task. 'Cause I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes, we're gonna be fine. Aaron is the secretary. So if you know anyone,
Nah, I failed secretary.
it'll make my life easier.
I failed secretarial. Okay, guys.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Ms. B. Smith, seconded by... Where is his name written down so I can find it? Justin. Steve. By Justin. Ski. There's
Zaleski.
Just say Justin.
Justin,
Yeah.
yes,
Got
because I had it written down and then I
say
can
Justin.
pronounce
It's
it
okay.